Awakening the Forgotten Soul. Introduction. Imagine for just a moment that your life isn't a random collection of events, that every challenge, every triumph, every heartbreak, and every moment of joy was intentionally chosen long before you were born. What if your soul crafted this life with purpose, selecting the people you would meet, the lessons you would learn, and even the pain you would endure, all to help you grow, evolve, and remember who you truly are? This audiobook is not just a collection of ideas, it's an invitation to see your life through a new lens, a lens that acknowledges the struggles but reframes them as essential parts of your soul's journey. You see, long before you took your first breath, your soul knew that to truly understand love, it might have to experience loss. To embrace strength, it might have to face vulnerability. To practice forgiveness, it might encounter betrayal. These choices were not made to burden you, but to shape you, like an artist choosing the colors and textures that bring a masterpiece to life. Throughout this journey, you may have felt the ache of not knowing, the sense that something vital is just out of reach. Maybe you've wondered why you keep repeating the same patterns, or why love, though beautiful, can feel so fleeting. This longing is not a flaw. It's your soul's way of urging you to remember. To remember that your existence has meaning, that your experiences are part of a grander story, and that your challenges are not punishments, but paths to deeper understanding. Think of your life as a vast, intricate mosaic made up of countless pieces, some bright and colorful, others dark and heavy. When you focus only on the dark fragments, it's easy to believe that life is unfair or meaningless. But when you step back and see the mosaic as a whole, you realize that each piece is essential. The bright moments give you joy and purpose, while the darker ones add depth and wisdom. Together, they form a complete and beautiful picture, one that tells the story of your soul's evolution. This audiobook will guide you through that journey. We'll start by exploring the blueprint your soul created before birth, why you chose specific challenges and relationships, and how they serve your growth. We'll uncover why forgetting your soul's plan was necessary to experience life fully, and how moments of déjà vu, profound connections, or unexplainable feelings are your soul's way of reminding you of your path. We'll discuss soul contracts, the agreements you made with others to learn about love, forgiveness, and resilience. You'll come to see that even those who hurt you are part of a deeper lesson, helping you evolve beyond judgment and bitterness. We'll also look at karma, not as a cosmic punishment, but as a way your soul balances and learns from past choices. And what about those moments of awakening, the times when, despite everything, you feel a sudden rush of peace or clarity, a sense that you are part of something much larger? We'll delve into how these moments are not accidents, but awakenings to your eternal self, reminders that your soul remains intact, even when life feels chaotic or painful. Throughout this journey, you'll learn how to recognize signs from the universe, patterns, coincidences, or intuitive nudges that seem too perfect to be random. You'll discover how to tune your vibration to attract experiences that align with your soul's purpose, and how to live authentically without fear of judgment or failure. Most importantly, this audiobook will remind you that you are not alone. Your guides walk beside you, your soul family supports you, and the universe itself conspires to help you remember your truth. Even when life feels heavy or confusing, your soul's wisdom remains unshaken, ready to guide you when you are willing to listen. This is a journey of remembering, of coming back to yourself and embracing the parts of you that you've neglected or hidden away. It's about integrating your brightest hopes and your deepest fears into a wholeness that allows you to live with intention and purpose. So take a deep breath and allow yourself to be curious. Let go of the idea that you must have everything figured out right now. You are exactly where you need to be at this moment to start reconnecting with your soul's purpose. Open your heart to the possibility that your struggles are not signs of failure but of transformation. Let yourself believe that the universe is not working against you, but guiding you toward your true self. As you listen to these chapters, be gentle with yourself. Some insights may resonate immediately, while others may take time to settle. You may find comfort in realizing that your challenges have meaning, or you may feel resistance as old beliefs are questioned. Whatever arises, honor it. It's all part of the process of awakening and becoming more attuned to your soul's journey. Your story is not just a series of random events. It's a purposeful, beautiful, and often messy unfolding of growth and discovery. Embrace it with courage. You are not just surviving, you are evolving. Your soul chose this life for a reason, and every step you take brings you closer to remembering why. Are you ready to awaken to your soul's purpose? To see your life not as a series of disconnected challenges, but as a profound, intentional journey? If so, let's begin. Chapter 1. Awakening to your soul's blueprint. Imagine yourself just before your birth on the brink of reality. Your soul is completely aware, purposeful, and clear in that ageless area. You are pure consciousness, surrounded by the knowledge of the cosmos. You are not yet a physical being. You know who you are, what you have picked up in previous lifetimes, and what yet awaits you to experience. You see the complex network of links, how your decisions shape the development of your soul across time. You willingly chose the road ahead, knowing it will be full of both happiness and hardship, since you know the only way to really develop is to live life directly. But when you finally cross into the physical world, something extraordinary happens. The veil of forgetting descends. All that wisdom, all that intention becomes shrouded in mystery. You are born without conscious memory of the soul agreements you made, of the purpose you outlined. Instead, you step into life with a blank slate, ready to learn, feel, and experience as if for the first time. This forgetting is not a mistake. It's an essential part of your journey. Without it, you would move through life knowing every outcome, every lesson, and every challenge before it occurred. Your choices would be predictable, your reactions predetermined. The forgetting allows you to be present, to learn through raw, authentic experience. But even with the forgetting, your soul's blueprint remains intact. It's embedded in your intuition, your instincts, and the unexplainable longings that guide you. Sometimes you catch glimpses of it, moments when life feels unusually familiar, or when a sudden insight brings clarity to a complex situation. You might meet someone for the first time and feel an instant connection, as if your souls recognize each other beyond the veil. Or you find yourself drawn to a particular place, culture, or practice without understanding why. These are not coincidences. They are echoes of the plan your soul crafted before birth. One man shared a story of how he always felt a deep connection to the mountains, even though he had grown up in a bustling city. When he finally traveled to a remote mountain village, he felt an overwhelming sense of peace, as if he had come home after a long journey. Talking to the locals, he discovered that the stories, customs, and even the landscape felt intimately familiar. Later, through meditation and reflection, he sensed that his soul had lived there in a previous life. This realization didn't just feel comforting, it gave him a sense of purpose, as if he was reconnecting with a piece of himself that had been missing. Your soul's blueprint doesn't dictate every detail of your life. It's more like a map with marked points of interest rather than a strict itinerary. You have free will to choose your path, to take detours, or to change directions entirely. But certain themes, lessons, and relationships are woven into your story. They are the pivotal moments that shape your growth, regardless of how you arrive at them. Sometimes you may feel as if you are off course, struggling to make sense of your circumstances. It's during these times that your soul's guidance feels most elusive, but that doesn't mean it has abandoned you. Often the lessons that shape your soul the most are the ones that come through hardship and uncertainty. It's natural to resist the idea that you chose your challenges. Why would anyone willingly select pain, loss, or struggle? The truth is that your soul doesn't seek suffering for its own sake. It seeks transformation. Pain is not a punishment, but a catalyst for deeper understanding. Sometimes the only way to truly grasp forgiveness is to experience betrayal. Sometimes the only way to appreciate love is to endure loneliness. Your soul knew that facing these experiences would forge resilience, empathy, and wisdom. It knew that to fully understand light, you would also need to walk through darkness. Imagine a sculptor facing a raw block of stone. The stone itself holds infinite potential, but to reveal the sculpture within, the artist must chip away at it piece by piece. Your soul's journey is much the same. Life's challenges are not meant to break you. They are meant to shape you, to reveal your most authentic self. It's not about seeking pain, but about finding meaning in the struggles that inevitably arise. Sometimes you may feel overwhelmed by the sheer unpredictability of life. You might wonder why, despite your best efforts, certain dreams elude you, or why relationships that once seemed perfect fall apart. It's easy to feel like a victim of circumstance, as if life is something that happens to you rather than something you co-create. But when you begin to view your challenges as chosen experiences, your perspective shifts. You start to see that your setbacks are not detours from your path, but part of the path itself. One woman, after facing a series of personal and professional failures, felt utterly defeated. For years she had pushed herself to meet expectations, only to end up exhausted and unfulfilled. One evening, sitting alone, she allowed herself to question why she had chosen this life at all. In the quiet that followed, a thought surfaced. Maybe the failures weren't meant to crush her, but to teach her to live authentically, free from the pressure to prove her worth. As she embraced this insight, her outlook transformed. She stopped chasing success for validation and began pursuing what genuinely made her happy. The sense of relief was profound, as if she had finally given herself permission to be herself. Your soul's blueprint is an evolving narrative, not a fixed script. Every lesson you accept and every decision you make deepens your path. The aim is to live in harmony with your genuine self, not to follow a set path. Occasionally that calls for risk-taking, expectation stepping, or choosing the road less traveled. Your soul's goal is not perfection, but development. It's about finding the bravery to change if you feel trapped, and learning to love yourself despite errors. Every experience has importance as you go on. Even if it's not obvious right now, every experience matters. Even when your head is full of uncertainty, trust that your soul knows what it is doing. One decision at a time, you are constructing a narrative, not a test to pass. Welcome the unpredictability, the obstacles, and the unanticipated gifts. Everyone is a component of the work of art your spirit is producing. Would you like to investigate more deeply the blueprint of your soul? Understand that your life is a deliberate path of development and self-discovery, not only a succession of accidental occurrences. Let's keep going. Chapter 2. The Veil of Forgetting, Why We Lose Our Way. Imagine, just before you were born, standing in that vast, luminous space where your soul is fully conscious and completely aware. You understand the journey ahead, the lessons you will face, and the purpose behind every challenge you have chosen. You know your strengths, your weaknesses, and the people you will meet, some who will love you deeply, and others who will test your patience and resolve. You feel a sense of excitement because you know that this life is an opportunity to grow, to evolve, and to remember your true essence. But as you prepare to enter the physical world, something remarkable happens. A veil descends, a soft, heavy curtain that wraps around your awareness. Suddenly, everything becomes hazy. The clarity you had just moments before fades, and the knowledge of your soul's plan becomes distant, almost unreachable. By the time you take your first breath, you have forgotten nearly everything. You arrive not as a wise soul, but as a blank slate, ready to experience life without the burden of remembering the grand design. This veil of forgetting is not an accident. It is an essential part of your human experience. You see, if you arrived fully aware of your purpose and the challenges ahead, your life would feel like following a script. There would be no real choices, no genuine reactions, no space to feel truly human. Imagine playing a game where you already know every move and every outcome. The game would lose its thrill, its potential to surprise, and its ability to teach you something new. Your soul understands that forgetting allows for a more authentic experience. It's like being an actor who fully immerses in a role, not thinking about the script, but reacting genuinely to every twist in the plot. Forgetting doesn't mean your soul's plan is lost. It simply means you get to live it without the certainty of what comes next. This unpredictability fosters growth, creativity, and resilience. But this forgetting can feel incredibly isolating. You might find yourself wondering why life seems so confusing, why pain sometimes feels meaningless, or why you keep repeating the same mistakes. The ache of not knowing can be profound, especially when faced with loss or failure. You might ask yourself, why can't I just understand why this is happening? This is where the soul's journey becomes challenging. The forgetting makes you feel separate from your own wisdom, as if your soul's guidance is a distant echo that you can't quite grasp. One man, after losing his job and going through a painful divorce, felt as if his life had completely unraveled. In his darkest moments, he would sit by his window, watching the world go on without him, feeling utterly disconnected and alone. One evening, as he sat there, he noticed a small bird repeatedly flying against the glass, trying to get inside. Despite its persistence, the bird couldn't see that the window was a barrier. The man realized that, like the bird, he had been pushing against an invisible wall, trying to make sense of his life from a limited perspective. In that moment, he wondered if his struggle wasn't a mistake, but a necessary pause, forcing him to reflect rather than react. Sometimes the pain of forgetting pushes you to search more deeply for meaning. It's as if the ache itself is a beacon, guiding you to reconnect with your soul. When you feel that emptiness, rather than numbing it or running from it, try to sit with it. Listen to what it's telling you. Often that longing is not just sadness, but a sign that your soul is asking you to look beyond the surface, to remember that you are more than your current struggle. The veil of forgetting also serves a protective purpose. Imagine remembering every heartbreak, every betrayal, or every loss from past lives. The emotional weight would be overwhelming, making it nearly impossible to move forward. By forgetting, you are given a clean slate, a chance to approach challenges without the heaviness of old wounds. It's not that your soul forgets entirely. Deep within, it retains the wisdom of those experiences. But the conscious mind is spared from being burdened by the past. Despite the forgetting, your soul leaves breadcrumbs along the way. These hints appear as gut feelings, déjà vu, or moments of profound resonance. Have you ever met someone and felt an immediate connection, as if your souls recognized each other even though your minds could not? Have you visited a place for the first time and felt as though you had been there before? These are glimpses through the veil, reminding you that your soul's knowledge is still present, even if it's not always accessible. Sometimes forgetting forces you to develop skills and strengths you didn't know you had. Without the memory of your soul's plan, you are challenged to make choices based on intuition, courage, and faith. You might not know why you are drawn to a particular path, but you feel a pull that you can't ignore. It's like navigating a dark forest with only a small lantern. You can't see the entire way forward, but you trust that the light will reveal the next step. Your soul also knows that the pain of forgetting will push you to seek deeper truths. If life were easy and predictable, there would be no reason to search, to question, or to grow. The discomfort of not knowing becomes the catalyst for self-discovery. It drives you to explore your beliefs, to challenge your assumptions, and seek answers beyond the material world. To begin lifting the veil, start by acknowledging the moments when your soul feels most alive, those flashes of insight or intuition that make you pause. Honor them, even if they seem small. Write them down, reflect on them, and see if patterns emerge. Sometimes, the act of noticing is enough to draw more clarity into your awareness. Another powerful practice is to simply ask your soul for guidance. Sit quietly, take a deep breath, and pose a question. Don't strain for an answer, just let it come. Sometimes, the response will appear as a sudden thought, a dream, or a sign that catches your attention later. Trust that your soul knows how to communicate, even if your conscious mind is slow to understand. The veil of forgetting is not an enemy, but a necessary part of being human. It allows you to experience life with a sense of wonder, curiosity, and discovery. Instead of seeing your forgetting as a failure, embrace it as part of the plan. Your soul is not lost. It's just waiting for the right moment to remind you of who you truly are. As you move forward, remember that your soul hasn't abandoned you. It's walking beside you, guiding you through signs, feelings, and those rare moments when the veil briefly lifts. Embrace the journey with patience and trust. The more you honor your intuition and remain open to the unknown, the more frequently you will find yourself remembering. Chapter 3. Soul contracts, choosing love, loss, and lessons. Have you ever wondered why certain people come into your life, or why some relationships feel so powerful, even if they are fleeting or painful? Sometimes, it seems like the people who hurt you the most also teach you the most profound lessons. It might feel confusing, even unfair, to think that love and pain can be so closely intertwined. But what if I told you that many of these connections were chosen long before you were born? Your soul made agreements with other souls before you entered this life, contracts that outline the roles you would play in each other's lives. These soul contracts are not about destiny controlling your every move, but rather setting the framework for growth and transformation. They are deliberate, chosen connections meant to teach you, challenge you, and sometimes break you open so that you can rebuild stronger and wiser. Imagine in that timeless space before birth, sitting with a group of souls who feel incredibly familiar to you. There is no fear, no resentment, only a profound sense of purpose. You discuss your upcoming life and the themes you want to explore: forgiveness, compassion, courage, and resilience. One soul steps forward and says, "I will help you learn forgiveness by challenging your trust." Another soul offers, "I will teach you unconditional love by being your child." These agreements are not made lightly. They are infused with deep understanding and mutual commitment. You know that once you enter the physical world, you will forget these plans, but the bonds will still guide you, pulling you together when the time is right. One lady recounted her constant sense of unexplainable link to her divorced father. Though he was gone, and abandonment hurt, she couldn't help but think something else was involved. Years later, at a healing retreat, she had a strong epiphany. Deep in meditation, she envisioned herself and her father before birth agreeing to this dynamic so she could learn to care for herself and develop independence. Though it changed her viewpoint, this discovery did not take away her suffering. Rather than feeling victimized, she viewed herself as an active participant in a soul-level lesson. Forgiveness became possible not because his deeds were justified, but because she could finally comprehend the larger goal of their relationship. Often included in soul contracts are love stories that seem fated. You meet someone and instantly feel as though you have known them for lifetimes. The chemistry is clear, and the connection seems easy, at least initially. These are the souls you consented to meet to investigate the depths of love, vulnerability, and occasionally, loss. Not every soulmate connection is intended to endure a lifetime. Some are short but life-changing, sparking an internal shift that directs your course ahead. Then there are the soul contracts that test you to your limits. These might come in the form of betrayal, heartbreak, or conflict. You may wonder why you had to endure such pain, why someone you loved so deeply could hurt you so profoundly. It's natural to feel anger and resentment, but when you consider the possibility of a pre-life agreement, it becomes easier to find purpose within the pain. Sometimes the soul that challenges you the most is the one that agreed to help you break old patterns or teach you how to reclaim your power. One man who struggled with self-worth found himself repeatedly drawn to partners who belittled him. At first, he thought it was just bad luck, but as he delved into his own healing, he realized that these relationships were not coincidences. They were mirrors, reflecting his unresolved belief that he was not worthy of respect. When he understood that his soul had chosen these dynamics to force him to confront his own lack of self-love, he began to change. Instead of blaming his partners, he took responsibility for his choices and set boundaries that honored his worth. Soul contracts are not about excusing harmful behavior. Just because someone agreed to challenge you doesn't mean you should accept mistreatment. The lesson might be learning to stand up for yourself, to say no, or to walk away from toxic dynamics. Your soul didn't choose pain as a form of punishment. It chose it as an opportunity to grow. The challenge lies in recognizing when a contract has served its purpose and knowing when to move on. Sometimes contracts involve soul family, those who feel like home even if you've just met. These people come into your life with a sense of familiarity, as if you are continuing a conversation started long before. They might be friends, mentors, or even strangers who make a profound impact. These connections often carry a sense of purpose, reminding you that you are not walking your path alone. There are also the contracts that involve unfinished business from past lives. You may feel drawn to resolve something that seems irrational on the surface, a fear, a conflict, or an intense longing. These remnants of previous lives are carried forward, giving you a chance to heal old wounds or complete a lesson left unresolved. Meeting someone with whom you share past life energy can feel both exhilarating and unsettling. Sometimes, just recognizing the connection can be enough to release the tension and find peace. When you encounter someone who triggers intense feelings, whether love, hate, or something more subtle, take a moment to consider whether there might be a soul contract at play. Ask yourself, what is this person teaching me? What part of myself are they reflecting back to me? The answer might not come immediately, but staying open to the possibility can shift your perspective from blame to understanding. Soul contracts do not dictate every detail of your interactions, but they establish the themes and challenges that guide your growth. You have free will to respond however you choose, but recognizing the patterns allows you to navigate relationships more consciously. When you approach connections with curiosity and a willingness to learn, you transform your interactions from reactive to intentional. To honor your soul contracts, practice forgiveness, not necessarily for the other person's sake, but for your own liberation. Release the need to change or fix the past, and instead focus on what you can learn from it. Forgiveness is not about erasing the hurt, but about releasing its hold on your heart. Take a moment to reflect on the people in your life who have shaped you the most, for better or worse. What lessons did they bring? What strength did you discover through those relationships? Even the most painful bonds carry the potential for profound transformation. By acknowledging the possibility of soul agreements, you empower yourself to move forward with greater awareness and compassion. As you continue on your journey, remember that every connection serves a purpose, even if it's not immediately clear. Trust that your soul knows what it's doing, and embrace the opportunity to learn from those who cross your path. Chapter 4. Karma Unveiled, the lessons we cannot escape. At times in life, one feels trapped in a cycle, dealing with the same issues over and over, fighting with comparable relationships, or running into too familiar barriers. No matter how much you want to go ahead, it's as if life drags you back to the same location. You may find yourself asking, why does this keep happening to me? What am I doing incorrectly? You might be feeling the slight but strong impact of karma. Unlike the prevalent idea that karma is a kind of cosmic punishment or reward, it's actually far deeper and more sympathetic than that. Karma is the soul's means of balancing energy, learning from past decisions, and looking for harmony inside the complexity of human experience. Imagine your soul as a traveler with a bag packed with memories, lessons, and unresolved emotions from past lives. Though some are lovely experiences, deeds of compassion, and realized aspirations, not all of these are severe weights. Yet others are unhealed scars, unresolved disputes, or lost chances for growth. Karma is about giving your soul another opportunity to handle what was left unfinished. It is not about blame or vengeance. Before birth, your soul reviews its past lives, looking at patterns that still need attention. Maybe in a previous existence, you struggled to forgive someone who hurt you, and that bitterness followed you into this life. Or perhaps you wielded power without compassion, and now you find yourself in situations where you feel powerless, learning the other side of the story. These choices are not punishments. They are opportunities for your soul to experience both sides of the equation, ultimately cultivating empathy and wisdom. One woman shared how she found herself repeatedly drawn to relationships where she felt unappreciated and emotionally neglected. After years of heartbreak and self-doubt, she began to wonder if she was simply unlucky or if something deeper was at play. Through reflection and spiritual guidance, she came to realize that in a past life, she had been the one who took others for granted, unable to see the value in their love. Now, in this life, she was experiencing what it felt like to be on the other side. This realization didn't make the pain disappear, but it did give her perspective. Instead of blaming herself or others, she chose to focus on self-love and understanding her own worth. In doing so, she broke the karmic cycle, attracting healthier, more balanced relationships. Karma often manifests through repeating patterns, situations or emotions that seem to follow you no matter how much you change your external circumstances. These patterns are not there to punish you, but to draw your attention to an unresolved lesson. For example, if you frequently encounter betrayal, it might be a call to examine where you place your trust or how you value your own boundaries. If you consistently feel undervalued at work, it might be a sign to advocate for yourself more assertively or to pursue a path that honors your true talents. Sometimes karma isn't about direct cause and effect from past lives, but rather the energy you cultivate in this one. If you continually harbor resentment or hold grudges, you are generating an energy that will reflect back to you. The universe mirrors your internal state, not out of judgment but as a way to show you where healing is needed. By changing how you approach your challenges, you shift the energy, allowing for a new outcome. One man who struggled with financial instability realized that his fear of scarcity was deeply rooted in his childhood. He had grown up believing that money was always scarce, and even as an adult, he couldn't shake the fear of never having enough. This mindset unconsciously shaped his decisions, settling for low-paying jobs, avoiding risks, and undervaluing his skills. When he finally confronted this belief and chose to reframe his relationship with abundance, opportunities began to appear. By healing his fear, he released the karmic cycle of lack and embraced a mindset of possibility. Breaking karmic patterns requires awareness, acceptance, and a willingness to change. Start by identifying the patterns that seem to dominate your life. Are there recurring themes in your relationships, your career, or your emotional responses? Instead of seeing them as misfortunes, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What lesson am I being asked to learn? Often the answer lies not in resisting the pattern, but in transforming how you respond to it. Forgiveness plays a crucial role in resolving karma. Holding on to anger or resentment keeps the cycle alive, binding you to the very pain you wish to escape. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior or ignoring your own feelings. It means releasing the emotional grip that keeps you anchored to the past. It's an act of freeing yourself rather than condoning what happened. When you choose forgiveness, you cut the energetic cord that ties you to the cycle, allowing healing to take root. Sometimes forgiving yourself is the hardest part. You may carry guilt for past mistakes, believing that you deserve the hardships you now face. But self-blame only perpetuates the pattern. Instead, practice self-compassion. Acknowledge that you did the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. Growth comes not from punishing yourself, but from understanding your own humanity. Karma also invites you to take responsibility for your current actions. While past choices shape certain patterns, how you respond today creates your future. Choose kindness where you once chose anger. Choose honesty where you once concealed your truth. Each small shift alters your karmic trajectory, leading to new possibilities. Sometimes, the most profound realization is that you are not meant to escape your karma, but to transform it. Embrace the challenges not as curses, but as teachers. Allow the lessons to unfold naturally rather than forcing solutions. As you become more aware of your karmic patterns, you will find that they lose their grip. You start to act from a place of conscious choice rather than automatic reaction. The journey of karma is not about erasing your past, but integrating it. It's about using your experiences to foster empathy, wisdom, and a deeper understanding of yourself and others. As you break free from old cycles, you open space for new growth that is more aligned with your soul's purpose. Chapter 5. The Great Awakening, Rediscovering Your Eternal Self. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when something shifts, subtly at first, like a soft whisper brushing against your consciousness. It's as if a small crack appears in the veil of your everyday life, and through that opening, light pours in. This is the Great Awakening, a profound realization that you are not just a human being navigating the chaos of existence, but a soul, eternal, resilient, and wise, having a human experience. Awakening doesn't always happen in a dramatic, earth-shattering way. Often it begins with a feeling that something is missing, a vague sense of discontent despite outward success or stability. You may start questioning your purpose, wondering why routine feels hollow or why relationships that once seemed fulfilling now feel shallow. You might catch yourself looking out at the world with new eyes, sensing that there's more to life than what you can see, touch, or explain. A simple stroll through the outdoors was the turning point for one man. He had been feeling more and more cut off from himself, his family, and his job. He was strolling through a peaceful park that day, his mind racing and unsatisfied, when he abruptly became aware of the subtle patterns created on the ground by sunlight filtering through the leaves. It felt like time was slowing down. There was a deep silence, and he felt tears spring up in his eyes for no apparent reason. It was a profound, almost ancient realization that he was a part of something much bigger than his concerns, not despair. He sensed his spirit remembering in that quiet and serene moment. When you awaken, your issues in life do not go away. Rather, it's a change in your perception of them. You start to view obstacles as chances for personal development, rather than as personal assaults. Your horizons widen, and you are able to embrace your joys and your challenges with interest instead of resistance. You begin to understand that you are an active maker of your world and cease viewing yourself as a victim of circumstance. This insight is accompanied by a sense of both relief and accountability. Relief as you realize that there is a reason why your spirit selected this course. You take responsibility for your actions because you understand that they affect your experience. Feeling momentarily unmoored is one of the most perplexing elements of awakening. Your once strong convictions about identity, love, and success no longer feel true. You might discover that your goals have drastically changed, or that you no longer feel connected to the people who used to play a major role in your life. It's normal to feel dislocated. A more genuine version of yourself emerges, much like when you remove an old skin. Instead of having a single, profound realization, some people experience their awakening as a sequence of minor epiphanies. You may read a section in a book that seems to have been written especially for you, or you may hear a song that suddenly makes more sense. A catastrophe, such as a betrayal, illness, or loss, can occasionally act as the trigger. Your barriers are broken down by these traumatic events, which make you face realities you had been avoiding. When outdated frameworks are dismantled, new consciousness might emerge. When a lady lost her job after years of hard work, she first felt devastated and ashamed. She felt empty without her career because it had been so integral to who she was. However, as the weeks went by, she discovered that she was pulled to artistic endeavors she had long put off, such as writing, painting, and performing music. She discovered she hadn't felt this alive in years one evening while engrossed in a simple doodle. Her previous sense of self had been destroyed by losing her career. But it also allowed her to uncover aspects of herself that had been hidden beneath the burden of expectations. She had stumbled into an awakening during her worst moment. Awakening frequently results in an increased awareness of your surroundings. Loud settings or shallow talks may deplete you more than they used to. You yearn for closer relationships with people and with yourself. You become more aware of how certain encounters either feed or drain you, and you become more sensitive to the energy of people and places. This sensitivity is a sign that your consciousness is growing, not a weakness. You are able to perceive things that others would miss because you are tuning into life's subtler frequencies. Respecting your own process is crucial. Awakening is neither a competition nor a race. Everybody experiences it differently, and that's okay. On some days, you may experience a deep sense of connection, but on other days, doubt and dread may return. Have patience with yourself. Accept the tides without passing judgment. Awakening is about constantly exposing yourself to new levels of insight rather than about arriving at a destination. One of the most beautiful aspects of awakening is realizing that your worth is not tied to your achievements or failures. You stop defining yourself solely by external standards, career success, relationships, or material wealth. Instead, you recognize that your essence is valuable simply because it exists. This shift in perspective brings a sense of liberation. You give yourself permission to live more authentically, to make choices that align with your soul rather than with societal expectations. As you awaken, you may feel a deep desire to share your insights, to help others see the world differently. This impulse to spread awareness is natural, But remember that not everyone is ready for the same truths. Allow others their own journey, just as you are honoring yours. Lead by example rather than by force. Simply being present, grounded, and compassionate in your own growth can inspire others without needing to convince them. Your awakening can be aided by activities like journaling, meditation, and time spent in nature. They give your spirit a voice and help you navigate the ambiguities that come up. Even if your intuition defies reason, follow it. Even if your head is still catching up, have faith that your soul is aware of the path. It's acceptable to take a step back if your awakening ever feels overwhelming. It's not necessary to incorporate all of the insights at once. Allow your comprehension to develop organically. When the shift feels too dramatic, sometimes the most basic activities can help you center yourself. Sipping tea calmly, viewing the sunset, or listening to calming music. As we proceed on this journey together, keep in mind that awakening is about more consciously interacting with reality rather than running away from it. You are remembering who you have always been, not changing into someone else. One insight at a time, your spirit is gently leading you back to your original self. Chapter 6. Vibrational Alignment. Tuning your soul's frequency. Imagine walking into a room where you immediately feel at ease, the air feels lighter, and your mood lifts without any apparent reason. Now, think of another space that feels heavy and uncomfortable, even if it's beautifully decorated. What you are sensing in both places is not just the environment, but the vibration within it. Everything in the universe vibrates at its own frequency, including you. Your thoughts, emotions, and even your intentions create ripples that shape your reality. Tuning your vibration is not about forcing positivity, but aligning your inner state with your soul's natural frequency. Before birth, your soul vibrates at a pure, harmonious frequency, unburdened by the weight of human experience. You exist in a state of awareness and connection, resonating with the essence of love, compassion, and purpose. But as you move through life, your vibration can shift, affected by emotions, experiences, and the people you encounter. Sometimes, without even realizing it, your frequency becomes muddled, clouded by fear, anger, or resentment. Identifying when your vibration has decreased and taking deliberate action to recalibrate is the difficult part. Similar to playing an instrument, even the best violin needs frequent tuning in order to generate a beautiful, clear tone. The same is true of your soul. Your frequency drops when you are consumed by concern, when your thoughts are stuck in negativity, or when you are stuck in resentment. The good news is that you can adjust the frequency of your soul in the same way that you can adjust an instrument. One man talked about how a terrible breakup seemed to send his life into a tailspin. Certain that he had failed, he was caught in a vicious cycle of melancholy and self-blame. He was unable to get rid of the weight, even when friends tried to lift his spirits. He saw a street performer playing a melancholic tune on a saxophone one day while strolling through a packed park. His melancholy was penetrated by something in the music. He sat on a bench close by and let the music envelop him. He became aware that he had spent weeks adjusting his inner frequency to one of loss and regret. He was reminded by the music that despite his suffering, beauty persisted. He began deliberately selecting little moments of happiness, whether they came from music, the outdoors, or small deeds of kindness. After that day, his vibration gradually increased, and life became easier to handle. Your vibration is influenced by your emotional state, but it also shapes your reality. When you emit a frequency of gratitude, love, or acceptance, you naturally attract more of the same. Conversely, when you dwell in fear or resentment, you may find yourself surrounded by negativity. It's not about blaming yourself for feeling low. It's about recognizing your power to shift your energy. Start by observing how your body responds to different situations. Notice when you feel uplifted and when you feel drained. Sometimes it's not just the people or places that influence you, but your own internal dialogue. Are you constantly replaying past hurts or worrying about the future? These thought patterns create a vibration that resonates outward, drawing similar energies back to you. One way to raise your vibration is through conscious breathing. Take a moment right now to inhale deeply through your nose, hold your breath gently, and exhale slowly. Feel the tension leaving your body. Breath work is a simple yet profound way to realign your energy. When you breathe with intention, you send a signal to your nervous system that it's safe to relax. This practice alone can elevate your frequency, helping you feel more centered and present. Another powerful tool is gratitude. It's not just a cliché, it's a vibrational game changer. When you actively focus on what you appreciate, your energy naturally shifts to a higher state. Even during difficult times, finding one small thing to be grateful for can break the cycle of negative thinking. Try keeping a gratitude journal, noting 3 things each day that make you feel thankful. Over time, this simple practice can reshape your perspective and raise your vibration. Music, too, can be a direct line to your soul's frequency. Pay attention to how different songs make you feel. Some melodies soothe your spirit, while others energize you. Create a playlist of songs that make your heart feel lighter, and listen to it when your vibration needs a boost. Just as dissonant notes can make a song feel off, dissonant thoughts and emotions can disrupt your inner harmony. Choose sounds that resonate with peace, joy, or empowerment. Spending time in nature also recalibrates your energy. The natural world vibrates at a balanced, harmonious frequency. Whether it's walking barefoot on grass, listening to the rustling leaves, or feeling sunlight on your skin, nature gently aligns your energy with the Earth's rhythm. When you feel overwhelmed, step outside, take a few deep breaths, and let nature restore your balance. It's also important to be mindful of the people you spend time with. Some relationships lift you up, while others seem to drain your spirit. This doesn't mean cutting people off without thought, but it does mean being conscious of how much energy you invest in relationships that consistently lower your vibration. Surround yourself with those who encourage your growth, not those who keep you tethered to negativity. Your thoughts are like tuning forks, setting the tone for your energy. Pay attention to your internal dialogue. Are you speaking kindly to yourself, or are you harsh and critical? Self-compassion raises your vibration because it aligns with your soul's inherent kindness. Practice replacing self-judgment with understanding. Instead of thinking, "I'm so stupid for making that mistake," try, "I'm human and I'm learning. It's okay." Sometimes your vibration dips due to unresolved emotions. Rather than suppressing them, acknowledge what you feel. Sit with your sadness, your anger, your confusion. By allowing yourself to experience emotions without judgment, you prevent them from festering and lowering your frequency. Journaling can help untangle these feelings, giving them a safe space to be expressed and released. As your vibration rises, you may notice that life feels more aligned. Opportunities seem to appear more naturally, and people who resonate with your new energy enter your world. It's not magic, it's the natural consequence of harmonizing your inner state with the frequency of your soul's purpose. Keep practicing small acts that elevate your vibration. A kind word to a stranger, a moment of mindful breathing, or simply choosing a positive thought when a negative one arises. These are not insignificant. They are tuning your soul, bringing you closer to your natural state of peace and harmony. Living with a higher vibration doesn't mean denying your challenges. It means facing them with a mindset that prioritizes growth, compassion, and resilience. You are constantly fine-tuning your energy, learning how to maintain balance even when life feels unpredictable. Chapter 7. Signs from Beyond. How your soul speaks to you. Have you ever had one of those moments when the universe seems to speak directly to you? Maybe it was a song that played just when you needed to hear it, or a random encounter that answered a question you'd been wrestling with. These moments are not coincidences. They are signs from beyond, subtle messages from your soul and the universe, guiding you along your path. Your soul, along with your guides and the interconnected web of existence, is constantly communicating with you. But it doesn't use words the way people do. Instead, it speaks through signs, synchronicities, and intuitive nudges. These signs are often quiet, almost like whispers in the noise of daily life. If you're too distracted or skeptical, you might miss them altogether. But when you start paying attention, you realize that the universe has been talking to you all along. One of the most common ways the soul communicates is through synchronicity. These are meaningful coincidences, events that align so perfectly that they seem orchestrated. Imagine thinking about an old friend and moments later receiving a text from them after years of silence, or needing guidance on a difficult decision and a stranger casually mentioning exactly what you needed to hear. These moments don't just happen randomly. They are reminders that your soul is actively involved in your life, nudging you in the right direction. One woman shared how she was at a crossroads in her career, unsure whether to stay in a secure but unfulfilling job or take a risk and pursue her passion. One evening, while walking home from work, she noticed a mural on a building she had passed countless times before. This time the words painted on the wall caught her eye. "Leap, and the net will appear." She stopped in her tracks, feeling as if the message had been placed there just for her. Taking it as a sign, she decided to follow her passion. Looking back, she realized that this seemingly small moment marked the beginning of a transformative chapter in her life. Another powerful way your soul communicates is through repeated symbols or numbers. Have you ever noticed certain numbers appearing everywhere, like 1111 on the clock, license plates, receipts, or even in your dreams? These number patterns often carry specific vibrations and messages. For instance, seeing 1111 repeatedly is often interpreted as a signal to pay attention, to tune into your intuition, or to align your thoughts with your true desires. It's as if the universe is saying, pause. Be mindful of what you're creating right now. Animals can also be messengers. You might notice a particular bird visiting you regularly, or an animal appearing in unusual places. In many spiritual traditions, animals symbolize qualities or messages. A butterfly might represent transformation, while a hawk could signify gaining a higher perspective. One man who had recently lost his father kept encountering a specific bird, a cardinal, near his window every morning. He wasn't usually one to notice birds, but the consistent presence of the cardinal felt significant. Later, he learned that many people believe cardinals appear as a reminder that loved ones who have passed are still watching over us. This small sign brought him comfort, helping him feel connected to his father's spirit. Dreams are another portal through which your soul communicates. Sometimes a vivid dream carries a message that lingers long after you wake. It might involve someone from your past or a symbolic scenario that feels strangely profound. Pay attention to dreams that evoke strong emotions or seem unusually clear. They may be offering insights that your conscious mind struggles to grasp. One woman recounted a recurring dream in which she was lost in a maze, but always ended up at a garden filled with blooming flowers. Eventually, she realized that the dream reflected her journey through anxiety, navigating confusion and fear, but ultimately finding moments of peace when she allowed herself to pause and breathe. Signs can also come as sudden insights or gut feelings. You might feel an inexplicable pull to take a different route home or to strike up a conversation with a stranger. These intuitive nudges often don't make logical sense, but they lead you to experiences that shape your path. Trusting these impulses can feel risky, especially if you are used to relying on reason. But intuition is your soul's way of guiding you when logic falls short. Sometimes signs appear when you are deeply connected to your emotions during grief, joy, or contemplation. One man, after losing his job, sat on a park bench feeling defeated. As he looked up, he noticed a small, persistent dandelion growing through a crack in the pavement. Despite its fragile appearance, it had found a way to thrive in an unlikely place. That simple image resonated deeply, reminding him that resilience can emerge even in adversity. He took it as a sign that he too could find a way through his challenges. The challenge with signs is not just recognizing them, but interpreting them correctly. Sometimes the meaning is obvious and immediate. Other times, you only understand the significance much later, when events unfold. To cultivate a deeper awareness, practice mindfulness. Spend a few minutes each day reflecting on small, seemingly insignificant moments. Keep a journal where you note any repeating patterns, numbers, or unusual experiences. Over time, you may start noticing connections between your thoughts, emotions, and the signs that appear. Another way to invite guidance is to ask for it directly. Before going to sleep, set an intention. If there's something I need to know, please show me a sign. Be open to how the message arrives. It might not come as a dramatic event, but as a subtle alignment, a phrase in a book, a conversation you overhear, or a feeling that brings clarity. Your soul doesn't shout, it whispers. Learning to listen means quieting your mind and trusting your instincts. Remember, not every odd occurrence is a sign. Sometimes, a coincidence is just that, a coincidence. But when something resonates deeply, makes you pause, or triggers a sense of familiarity, it's worth considering that your soul is speaking. The universe has countless ways of getting your attention. The more you acknowledge these signs, the more they will appear. It's as if your soul realizes you are paying attention, so it continues guiding you through subtle, beautiful hints. Trust that your soul knows how to reach you, even when your mind is preoccupied. When you start noticing the signs, don't just observe them, act on them when they feel right. Let them guide your decisions, your reflections, and your understanding of your journey. As you move forward, remember that the universe is not a distant, indifferent force. It's intimately involved in your growth, working in harmony with your soul's intentions. Are you ready to tune in, to listen more closely, and to follow the guidance that is already around you? Let's continue. Chapter 8. Embracing Love and Loss, the Duality of Connection. Love. It's a word that carries immense weight, evoking a spectrum of emotions, from the intoxicating joy of being cherished to the soul-crushing pain of loss. Love and loss are inseparable, intertwined like the roots of a tree, each strengthening and challenging the other. You cannot fully experience one without eventually encountering the other. This duality is both the beauty and the burden of being human. From the moment your soul chose to enter this life, it knew that to understand love in its fullest, most transformative form, it would also have to experience loss. This is not a punishment, but a profound opportunity for growth. Love teaches you to open your heart, to trust and to give selflessly. Loss, on the other hand, teaches you resilience, acceptance, and the courage to move forward even when your heart feels broken beyond repair. Imagine your soul in the space before birth, surrounded by other familiar souls. You discuss the lessons you need to learn and the people who will walk beside you. Some souls volunteer to be your family, your friends, your lovers, or even your adversaries. Together you agree to explore the depths of connection, knowing that some relationships will bring bliss, while others will test your strength. Your soul understands that every encounter, whether joyful or painful, will shape your journey. One man who had lost his wife after decades of a loving marriage shared how grief felt like an endless hollow ache. In the early days of his loss, he couldn't fathom how life could continue without her presence. One evening, while sorting through her belongings, he found a note she had written years before tucked inside a favorite book. It simply read, "Love never leaves. It just changes form." Holding that note, he realized that the love they shared hadn't vanished with her passing. It had transformed, becoming a source of inner strength and a reminder of the beautiful years they had spent together. Instead of trying to move on, he learned to carry her love forward, allowing it to inspire him to live fully as she would have wanted. Love's duality can be especially confusing when relationships don't end through death, but through separation or change. You might find yourself questioning why a connection that once felt so right now feels distant or broken. It's natural to wonder if you made a mistake, if you failed to hold on tightly enough. But sometimes, souls agree to share a journey only up to a certain point. The purpose of that connection may have been fulfilled, even if it leaves you longing for more. One woman felt as though she had lost a piece of herself following a traumatic breakup. Wondering whether there was anything she might have done differently, she played back conversations. But as time went on, she realized that the partnership had fulfilled its objective. It had taught her to set boundaries where she had none before, and to love without losing herself. Although parting was painful, it served as a springboard for self-discovery. She eventually came to the realization that the relationship was a phase in the development of her soul, rather than a failure. All types of love, whether romantic, family, or platonic, educate you to be open-hearted. However, loss pushes you to maintain it open despite the bruises. Building barriers and closing off areas as a form of defense is alluring. However, doing so also eliminates the chance for deeper love and new relationships. Your spirit seeks expansion via vulnerability rather than safety through seclusion. One of the bravest things you can do is to be willing to love again in spite of past hurt. Grief is a natural response to love that has changed form. It's the heart's way of processing the gap between presence and absence. Sometimes, in the depths of mourning, it feels as if your entire identity is wrapped up in what you've lost. You might feel incomplete, unsure of how to navigate life without that person or relationship. This sense of disorientation is not just emotional, it's spiritual. Your soul is recalibrating, learning to integrate the love that remains even when the relationship itself has shifted. Sometimes, love teaches you through the very act of letting go. One father, after losing his teenage son to illness, struggled to understand how such profound love could coexist with such unbearable pain. In his quiet moments, he reflected on how his son had lived, fearlessly, joyfully, and always with kindness. Instead of succumbing to bitterness, the father chose to honor his son's memory by living more like him, embracing life, helping others, and keeping his son's spirit alive through stories and acts of service. Love didn't end with his son's death. It transformed into a legacy of compassion. Allowing yourself to grieve without passing judgment is crucial for navigating the dichotomy of love and loss. Society frequently exhorts you to achieve closure, move on swiftly, and put the suffering behind you. However, your soul is aware that grieving is not a straight line. It fluctuates and resurfaces without warning. Allow yourself to feel rather than pushing yourself to get over it. Honor the relationship by continuing the lessons it taught you. Smile when you think back on the good days, and cry when the memories come flooding back. Writing a letter to the person you lost or the relationship that ended is one technique that might be beneficial. Don't be afraid to express your emotions and thoughts. Express the affection that remains, acknowledge the hurt of being away, and say the things you didn't get to say. Even if it is only symbolic, this act of communicating can provide serenity and closure. It serves as a reminder that love is still a part of you, albeit in its altered form. Sometimes, after loss, you may find that your capacity to love actually deepens. Having faced the vulnerability of grief, you may approach new relationships with more empathy and openness. You understand that love is fleeting, but that doesn't make it less valuable. If anything, it makes every connection more precious, reminding you to cherish those you care about while they are still by your side. Your soul doesn't shy away from love even when it risks loss. It knows that the purpose of human experience is not to remain untouched by pain, but to grow through it. Love and loss are two sides of the same coin, and together, they teach you the true strength of your heart. Every time you choose to love despite the possibility of loss, you affirm your soul's resilience and its unwavering commitment to evolve. Chapter 9. Returning to Wholeness. Integrating your soul's lessons. There comes a point in your journey when you start to see your life as a collection of fragmented pieces, experiences that shaped you, relationships that molded you, and choices that altered your path. Some pieces are vibrant and joyful, while others are dark and heavy. For a long time, it might feel like these pieces don't quite fit together, as if parts of your story contradict one another. You may carry regrets, unresolved pain, or memories that don't seem to align with who you are now. Yet the process of returning to wholeness is not about erasing the past or ignoring your mistakes. It's about integrating all aspects of your journey, embracing every chapter, and finding harmony within your own complexity. When your soul chose this life, it didn't aim for perfection, it aimed for growth, knowing that growth would sometimes be messy, confusing, and even painful. You are not just the sum of your successes or your failures, but a dynamic being, constantly evolving through each experience. To become whole, you must first accept that all parts of you, the light, the shadow, the healed, and the wounded, belong together. Imagine your life as a mosaic made up of countless pieces, each representing a different moment, relationship, or lesson. Some pieces are bright and colorful, symbolizing times of joy and fulfillment. Others are darker, representing loss, pain, or regret. At first glance, it might seem like the darker pieces don't belong, that they disrupt the beauty of your story. But when you step back and view the mosaic as a whole, you realize that the contrast is what makes it beautiful and complete. The darker shades add depth and dimension, just as your challenges add resilience and wisdom to your spirit. One woman who had spent years battling feelings of inadequacy after a failed marriage struggled to see herself as whole. She felt broken, defined by her perceived failures. One evening, during a meditation class, the instructor spoke about embracing one's imperfections as sacred parts of the human journey. The words struck a chord, and she realized that she had been trying to compartmentalize her life, labeling some parts as worthy and others as shameful. From that day forward, she began a practice of honoring her past instead of condemning it. She wrote letters to her younger self, expressing compassion for the woman who had tried so hard to make things work. In doing so, she reclaimed her story as one of courage rather than defeat. Returning to wholeness means acknowledging your contradictions without judgment. You can be both strong and vulnerable, both forgiving and hesitant, both wise and still learning. Trying to force yourself into a singular identity limits your growth and denies your complexity. Instead, give yourself permission to be multifaceted. Embrace the parts of you that are still healing, alongside the parts that have already found peace. Forgiveness is a crucial step in integration, not just forgiving others but forgiving yourself. You may carry guilt for decisions made in moments of fear or weakness. You might regret the times you chose comfort over truth or safety over authenticity. But punishing yourself for past choices only fragments your spirit further. Instead, practice self-compassion by recognizing that you did the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. Self-forgiveness is not about erasing mistakes, but about allowing yourself to move forward without the weight of self-condemnation. One man who had hurt a close friend with thoughtless words spent years feeling haunted by his mistake. Even after apologizing, he couldn't let go of the guilt. One day, while journaling, he wrote down all the reasons he believed he was undeserving of forgiveness. As he reread his words, he saw how harshly he was judging himself, holding on to a single moment as if it defined his entire character. In that realization, he chose to forgive himself, not by dismissing his actions, but by acknowledging his humanity. He reached out to his friend once more, not just to seek forgiveness, but to express gratitude for the lesson learned. That act of vulnerability helped him reclaim a sense of wholeness. Sometimes, reclaiming your wholeness means confronting the parts of you that you have tried to hide or suppress. Maybe you have buried your creative side because it didn't align with practical expectations. Or perhaps you silenced your true opinions to maintain peace. These abandoned parts of yourself don't disappear. They wait patiently for acknowledgement. When you allow them to resurface, you reclaim the fullness of your being. One way to facilitate this process is through creative expression. Write your story, dance without inhibition, paint your feelings, or speak your truth aloud. Creativity bypasses the critical mind, allowing you to access emotions and memories without fear of judgment. Even if what emerges feels raw or imperfect, it is real. It is you. Giving voice to your unspoken truths is an act of courage, a declaration that every part of you deserves to be seen and honored. Integrating your life's experiences also requires gratitude. Try to be thankful for the lessons your past has taught you, rather than harboring resentment. Your soul's development is shaped by the mistakes that led to greater insight, the failures that compelled you to adapt, and the pain that taught you to be resilient. You may turn your past from a burden into a source of strength when you approach your narrative with thankfulness instead of regret. Setting limits with those who can't observe your progress is sometimes necessary to regaining your wholeness. It's acceptable that not everyone will comprehend your experience. To embrace your fullness, you don't require approval from others. Saying no to individuals or circumstances that push you back into your old habits is something you should practice. Honor your accomplishments and safeguard your energies. Living from a place of wholeness means accepting that healing is ongoing. You will have days when old wounds resurface, when doubt creeps in, or when you feel fragmented once more. In those moments, remind yourself that setbacks are part of the process. Healing is not a straight line. It's a spiral that revisits themes at deeper levels. Be patient with yourself. Each time you choose to embrace your full story, you reinforce your commitment to growth. Your soul doesn't expect perfection. It seeks authenticity. Returning to wholeness is not about being flawless, but about being real. It's about showing up as yourself, even when parts of you still feel tender or unsure. By embracing all aspects of your journey, you allow your soul to breathe freely, unburdened by the need to fit a narrow definition of success or worth. Chapter 10. Living Authentically. Walking your soul's path. Imagine waking up each morning with a profound sense of purpose, knowing that every choice you make aligns with who you truly are. Living authentically is not just about being honest with others. It's about being honest with yourself, acknowledging your deepest desires, your fears, your strengths, and your vulnerabilities. It means living from your soul rather than from the expectations of others. Your soul's path is uniquely yours. No one else can walk it for you, and no one else can define it. Yet so often, we find ourselves bending and twisting to fit into molds created by society, family, or past versions of ourselves. Living authentically requires courage because it often means stepping away from what feels comfortable or predictable. It means risking judgment and misunderstanding. But it also means discovering a freedom that only comes when you are true to yourself. One young woman spent years pursuing a career in law because it seemed prestigious and secure. She convinced herself that success would eventually bring fulfillment. But every day felt heavier, and the more she achieved, the more disconnected she felt from herself. One evening, during a rare moment of reflection, she admitted to herself that she hated her job. She wasn't passionate about legal battles or corporate negotiations. What truly sparked her soul was storytelling, writing fiction and weaving narratives that explored human emotions. Admitting this truth felt terrifying. She worried about disappointing her family and wasting the years she had invested. But as the truth surfaced, it also brought relief. For the first time, she gave herself permission to consider a different path, one aligned with her soul rather than societal expectations. Living authentically often means challenging long-held beliefs about success, happiness, and identity. You may have been taught that stability equates to security, that following the rules ensures a good life, or that sacrificing your dreams for practicality is just part of being an adult. Yet deep down, your soul knows when you are not being true to yourself. It nudges you with discomfort, with that quiet ache of dissatisfaction that lingers despite outward achievements. One man shared how he spent decades working in a field that drained him emotionally, believing that enduring discomfort was simply part of being responsible. But one day, while watching his young daughter paint with carefree joy, he realized how much he had lost by suppressing his own creative spirit. At that moment, he made a promise to himself to rekindle his passion for music, a hobby he had abandoned in his 20s. Picking up his old guitar felt like reuniting with a long-lost friend. The act of creating, even just for himself, reminded him that life wasn't meant to be endured, but to be lived fully. Authenticity does not mean disregarding your responsibilities or obligations. It means integrating your passions and truths into the life you are building. Sometimes this requires making small changes rather than drastic transformations. It might mean dedicating just a few minutes a day to something that nourishes your soul, or setting boundaries with people who expect you to always conform. Authenticity is not an all-or-nothing approach. It's a gradual alignment of your daily actions with your core values. To walk your soul's path, you must first know yourself, beyond labels, roles, and external validations. Ask yourself, what truly makes me feel alive? When do I feel most connected to myself? What pursuits leave me feeling fulfilled rather than drained? The answers might surprise you, especially if you have spent years prioritizing practicality over passion. Be gentle with yourself as you explore these questions. It's okay if the answers take time to emerge. One powerful practice for reconnecting with your authenticity is journaling. Write without censoring your thoughts, allowing your fears, dreams, and frustrations to flow onto the page. You might discover recurring themes, longings that you have buried or talents you have downplayed. Sometimes just seeing your desires written down is enough to spark the courage to honor them. Authentic living also means embracing your imperfections. It's tempting to wait until you feel more prepared, more skilled, or more confident before pursuing your dreams. But your soul doesn't seek perfection. It seeks expression. Allow yourself to be a beginner, to make mistakes, to learn as you go. The willingness to be imperfect is a vital part of living authentically. It shows that you value your truth more than your image. Surround yourself with people who encourage your authenticity rather than those who judge or diminish it. Seek out communities where vulnerability is not seen as weakness, but as a sign of courage. Being authentic means sometimes standing apart, but it also means finding your soul family, those who understand your journey and celebrate your growth. The worry of disappointing other people is one obstacle you may encounter. You can be concerned about the impact your decisions will have on others who have contributed to your current course. Being thoughtful is vital, but keep in mind that compromising your soul's purpose to satisfy other people's expectations breeds bitterness and exhaustion. Sometimes being authentic means making decisions that are incomprehensible to others. Have faith that people who genuinely care about you will appreciate your dedication to speaking your truth. Remember that your spirit did not pick this world to just fit in when you are having doubts. You come to discover, to communicate, and to gain knowledge from your own distinct experiences. Living genuinely entails putting your inner direction ahead of other people's approval. It's about making choices that speak to your soul, even if they appear unusual or dangerous. There will be moments when authenticity feels uncomfortable, when staying true to yourself means walking away from what is familiar or facing criticism. Yet as you continue to practice living from your soul, you will notice a profound shift. Life feels less forced and more aligned. Challenges still arise, but you face them with a sense of integrity, knowing that you are honoring your own path rather than living for someone else's expectations. Ultimately, living authentically is not a destination, but a continuous practice. It's the daily choice to listen to your soul, to follow your intuition, and to create a life that feels meaningful to you. You may not always get it right, and that's okay. The goal is not perfection, but presence, showing up as the truest version of yourself, even when it's difficult. Epilogue. As you reach the end of this exploration, take a moment to reflect. Your soul's journey is ongoing, an unfolding story filled with choices, challenges, and moments of awakening. You've come to understand that life is not a series of random events, but a purposeful path crafted for growth. Even struggles are not punishments, but opportunities to evolve. Your experiences, both joyful and painful, shape the mosaic of your life, adding depth and wisdom to your spirit. You have learned to see love and loss as intertwined forces, each teaching you about vulnerability and resilience. You've discovered that living authentically means embracing your truths, even when they challenge societal expectations. It's about aligning your actions with your soul's purpose and choosing courage over comfort. Your soul communicates through subtle signs and synchronicities, guiding you when words fall short. Trust these messages and stay grounded in your own truth, even when the world pressures you to conform. Remember, growth is not linear. Embrace your imperfections as part of your unique journey. Keep seeking, keep growing, and continue living from your soul. You are not alone. Your guides, your soul family, and the universe support you. Trust your path, embrace your evolution, and live fully. Your journey continues.